You'd think after years of backpacking, I would have had it all figured out by now, but the truth is, I still make some of the same dumb mistakes every time. And you probably do too. So today I'm sharing the backpacking mistakes that I still occasionally make from time to time, and the lessons that I've learned the hard way so you don't have to. Number one, packing too much food. This is something I still commonly do. I don't know whether it's we pack our fears. I think for me, I always feel like I eat a lot when I'm not on the trail, but don't realize that sometimes during hard days out on the trail, depending on temperatures and so on and so forth, I just don't eat as much. So I always overpack. Usually snacks are my big thing. I overpack way too many snacks. I come home with God knows how much every time. That's a common mistake that a lot of people make. A lot of people, like I said, do it out of fear. I don't want to be starving out on the trail. Trust me, you won't starve. You bring something for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and a couple snacks, you'll be fine. Number two, starting too late in the day. This is a hard one for me. That getting out of camp quickly in the morning, I've tried to now adjust what I do in the mornings. Try to get up a little bit earlier, make the coffee, and looking at meal bars and different things I can eat on the go, because sitting around in camp, making coffee, making breakfast, cleaning all that up just takes a lot of time. And I always end up getting out on the trail late, and it takes forever to get anywhere, especially shooting videos, taking pictures, stopping to look at things. And then I'm pressed for time getting into camp at night, and going into camp in the dark and set up kind of sucks. Lesson learned, leave early, better choice of campsites, more flexibility in the miles you have to do. If you want to do more, you'll have the time to do it. If you want to hike to a better campsite, you'll have the time, etc., etc. Number three, not testing gear before a trip. This is a big one for a lot of people. I usually lay everything out, anything that has to be charged, my headlamps, my Garmin, my watch, so on and so forth, anything that has to be charged, I try a day or two ahead of time to get it all on the charger and get it done so I don't have to worry about that. But things like water filters, you've got to be careful with. When I first started out, I had a water filter. I didn't test it before I left. I got it on trail. It was not properly wet inside. It had dried out, and it was impossible to get water through. So we had a lot of issues because of that. If you haven't used your tent or your sleeping pad and that kind of gear in quite a while, set it up, go through it, make sure there's no holes in your air mat, make sure there's no rips in your tent, you have all your stakes, all that kind of stuff. Number four, not drinking enough water until it's too late. Waiting until I'm thirsty doesn't end up working out. You should sip, even if you don't feel like you're thirsty. Sip throughout the day, keep yourself hydrated. It's a lot better than bottoming out and all of a sudden you're getting a headache from dehydration, you're lagging, you're dragging, your muscles start cramping. Use some electrolytes during the day as well. And like I said, just keep sipping that water throughout the day. You don't have to chug, chug, chug. Now, if it's been a while and you stop at a water source, you want to do what they call cameling up with drinking a bunch of extra water because you know you may not have a water source in a little while. That's fine. But really just try to keep hydrated throughout the day and it'll really benefit you in the long run. Also, once you get to camp, dump another pack of electrolytes in a 1 liter bottle and drink that before bed. Because again, rebuilding your electrolyte loss from throughout the day is very important. And again, it goes a long way to feeling a lot better when you wake up in the morning. Number five, passing up water sources. Skipping streams because, hey, I think I've got enough water. There's plenty of water sources ahead. Trust me, don't fall into this trap. I don't know how many times I have passed up a good water source thinking there was plenty ahead because, hey, the app says there's water sources all over the place. Well, only to find out that they're either dried up or they're way off trail, and then you go way off trail and they're still not good. If you pass a good water source, even if you only need to top off half a liter, do it, because later on you could pay for it. Reliable water is never guaranteed. Number six, forgetting essential items. This is something I've done a few times, from forgetting my spoon to eat my food with, creamer for my coffee, enough coffee. I have not realize that my fuel canister that was in my cook kit, I didn't double check it before I left, and there wasn't enough fuel for the entire trip. Things like an extra lighter, the lighter you have has enough fuel in it that it doesn't run out if you need it. Make a checklist, check it twice, and never assume that you have it all. I will put a link in the description. I have made a checklist that I use. It'll look like one page when you view it, but when you download the PDF, it's actually 2 pages. It's a 2-page checklist. I lay everything out a couple days ahead of time and make sure that I lay out everything that needs to go with me for that particular trip. Again, double check it on that list, pack it in my backpack, good to go. Hey, I've even forgotten the SD card for my camera and cost myself a lot of time getting on trail. So if you're using a camera on trail, make sure before you leave that SD card is in your camera, because that is a huge one. And like I said, that cost me a lot of time getting on a trail one time. Number 7, underestimating weather swings. It won't get that cold. I have checked weather reports. Don't trust weather reports. Always pack for one level above or below the temperature that you think you're going to be hiking in. I've been out on trails. It's not supposed to get to freezing. It's supposed to be above freezing the entire time. Gotten out there and was very cold that night because it dipped below freezing and I didn't have quite enough gear to cover that temperature. Same thing during the day. If it looks like it's going to be a fairly warm hike in the 70s, maybe low 80s, make sure that you can be comfortable into the 90s if it gets up that way. Extra layers don't really weigh that much in your pack. Take an extra mid layer or something like that that's reliable if it does dip down. I always carry some kind of puffy with me. I carry a lighter puffy if it's going to be a warmer hike and a heavier one if it's the possibility of it getting a lot colder. So yeah, never underestimate weather because, like I said, pack for one level above or below what you're planning for. Number 8, misjudging mileage versus terrain. This is a huge one. 10-15 miles on flat ground is not the same as climbing mountains and dealing with boulder fields and dealing with stream crossings. This is a mistake I made many, many times in planning trips. I was like, hey, we can do this in X number of days. We can do this number of miles, make it to this campsite, not really researching the elevation and the trail conditions between point A and point B. So I've learned now to underestimate mileage. If you want to go a little bit further again, that's great, but keep it kind of conservative because especially, like I said, if you're in mountainous, rocky terrain, places in Tennessee and the Carolinas and stuff especially, it can get pretty brutal. You can think, oh, we can do that 10 or 12 miles easily. And then you start getting along and you start going into boulder situations where you're going 1 mile an hour or less trying to pick your way through. You're having several stream crossings that maybe are taking a longer time to cross. So do your research ahead of time and don't overestimate your mileage. Plan your days by elevation and terrain, not just distance. So like I said earlier, what about you? What are the backpacking mistakes that you've made and you've kept making or done several times before you learn not to make them? Or maybe you're still making some. Leave comments down below. I'd like to get into a conversation about this. And I have another brutally honest video that I put out a couple weeks ago about gear I regretted buying. That got a lot of comments, done real well. I'll put a link to that video up here if you want to see it. It's doing really well. So hopefully you found some value in this video. Hit that like button, subscribe, again, comment below, and we'll see you next time out on the trail.